Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is June 28th, 2021, and this is the Flight Sim News. So there's a new developer diary posted for the guys over at IL2 Sturmovik 1C Game Studios. 284 is the latest developer diary, and they go on to say, summer's here, it's very hot in both Moscow and Vegas, and we soldier on working mostly from our flats and homes. This week's developer diary features just a couple items, but one is quite a surprise, as you will see. And then basically they start off with, there's all new 4K textures for the HS129, and then they say the Yak-1B should be next, and eventually the JU-52 will also get the refresh. And these were provided by Martin ICDP Cadney, who's the one guy that I've mentioned a few times in these developer diaries. He seems to be their go-to guy for the 4K skins. And then they go on to say the entire 4K upgrade has been a huge effort on Martin's part, as well as the previous contributions made by Francisco Black Hellhound Bindrabin. And then they talk about, and now the surprise, so let's reveal the hidden contents here. That's right, Romanian designed and built IAR-80/81 is under development by a third party that we feel has the skills to make it a reality. This will take some time, but we're confident it will come to fruition. Please enjoy this little tease, and when the mesh is further along. They need to spell check this stuff or check it for grammar, because sometimes it really reads like somebody that doesn't understand English has wrote this. Anyways, they go on to say, we'll offer it for pre-orders as we always do. And then they go to say why the IRA 8. Boy, that's a hard one to say fast. Why the IAR-80-81 exactly? Well, believe it or not, there's a lot of good reference information on this plane, so it's one that is possible to build by a single qualified modeler. A lot of what we do as a sim developer can be described as art of the possible. The IAR is indeed possible to make, so let's do it. And I have a feeling this will probably be a collector's plane. What do they say here? It will be sold as a collector's plane, but it will certainly add some more historical flavor to the Battle of Stalingrad theater. And then they go on to talk about, as we continue to work on the new AQM feature, fuel systems and drop tanks, air marshal, and even improved cloud technology, all of which I hope to show you pictures of in the upcoming developer diaries. And then they say that Jason continues to work with the talented mission makers on new mission content and campaigns, which we hope to have localized and released soon. And that's pretty much it. They go on to talk about the pandemic a little bit and how it's affected their lives and working from home and whatnot. But as always, it's always nice to read the developer diaries from these guys. It's always something good and interesting. I will throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. Next up is fantastic news from the guys at Leatherneck Simulations. They go on to start it with whistle while we work. Dear pilots, summer is right around the corner, and this seems to be the perfect opportunity to update you on our latest works and progress in module development. We have envisioned this to be a rather short update, and as such it will primarily focus on the Corsair Warbird Essex class aircraft carrier, and as cherry on top of the cake, a Crusader snippet. The scope of this update is dictated by the fact that the F4U-1D module occupies our attention almost exclusively. We wish you a warm and pleasant summer, and without further ado, let's have a look at what we have prepared for you. And there are some awesome images of the cockpit of the F4U. They go on to say, starting with the F4U-1D Corsair, we're happy to report that the module, it is in its final stages of development. That's fantastic news. Most of the artwork and system programming is nearing completion, while the flight model and engine operation are in the process of fine-tuning and testing. A set of missions and campaign are planned and will be done in cooperation with the renowned, talented campaign creator, Reflected Simulations. Fantastic news there. For the past few months, following our Christmas update, our artists have shifted their efforts towards improving the cockpit. The F4U-1 is one of the few aircraft lacking sidewalls and a floor. Because of this, many of the Corsair's vital components are exposed. Though time-consuming, we've given this special attention, utilizing original manufacturer drawings and unrestored aircraft as references to recreate most of the panels, cables, pipes, and switches. Each area was then checked within VR to ensure nothing what a strapped pilot would see would be missing. Our team has settled on a modification designed MCR 600. This modification was a complete overhaul and simplification of the cockpit's hydraulic system. Other changes not related to this MCR include the following: separate rocket firing button, 4-switch armament box on the right side dash that is tailored for Tiny Tim use. Removal of the M8 flare gun to help reduce toxic fumes getting into the cockpit through the firing tube. Removal of the vapor dilution system since there are no wing fuel tanks. Removal of the carburetor choke lever. Thus, the update of the cockpit model and adjustment of the textures to fit the new cockpit constitute the final chapter of aircraft art development. Items that will be modeled during early access include armored glass and an adjustable Mk8 gun sight. And then there are more images of it, which look fantastic. Wow. This one's going to be a lot of fun, guys. I am definitely looking forward to the Corsair. Then they go on to say system development is also largely complete as hydraulics, electrics, and basic weapon systems are operational and will continue to fine-tune them as tests proceed. The AN Arc 5 radio and navigation equipment were also completed and tested earlier this spring. Decision to add the AN Arc 1 radio set is still pending. Smaller things such as the oxygen equipment, anti-blackout suit, and particularly interesting based on carbon dioxide, the emergency landing gear extension system remain due to the cockpit enhancements. And then there is another set of fantastic images here. Man, does that look good. Wowzers. You know, as much as I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I do usually enjoy IL-2 a little more when it comes to World War II stuff, but this looks like the Mariana Islands in this image here, and when the Corsair comes out and they drop that Mariana Islands map, I don't know, I'm going to have to reevaluate some things, I think. And then they go on to say, regarding the available ordnance and additional equipment, the full list of British and U.S. bombs and rockets will be presented closer to release. We hope to toss in a few features that would make the F4U-1D very unique in the DCS World War II environment. And then there's yet another image of it in action. Absolutely beautiful. Next, they talk about the Essex Class aircraft carrier. Moving on, the carrier's hangar bay is undergoing extensive development. It is our intention to make it possible for you to spawn inside the belly of the aircraft carrier, start the Corsair, and bring it to the main deck with your very own efforts. We think that this feature would give you a better understanding of aircraft carrier operations. Don't mind the sunroof. Our shipyard workers need fresh air. And then there's a bunch of images here of the aircraft carrier interior in development. And lastly, the Chance Vought F-8J Crusader. Since our artists are busy with the Corsair, our programmers have been working diligently on the Crusader's radar system. While the ground mapping functionality of the ANAPQ-124 is very limited, the radar can be used for coastal mapping. Below is a zoomed-in screenshot from the video displaying major geological features from the radar's return off-coast of Potai Harbor City and the Caucasus. And then there are images of it, and there's also a video down here that's about 1 minute and 2 seconds long. And then they go on to say the outbreak has certainly hindered our efforts for opportunities in the scanning department, but we pushed through and were able to get some photogrammetry of the cockpit. Our initial work wasn't that far off from the real deal. Work will continue in adjusting the geometry. We hope to have some great news by next season regarding laser scans. And then there's a nice image of what they got going on there. And then they go on to say, we at Magnitude 3 want to thank everybody for the continued support and patience. We wish everyone to have a fun and safe summer. And then there is an image of what they're working on in the cockpit. So that is fantastic news. I will definitely throw a link to this in the video description as usual, so you can check this one out for yourself. Next up is the last news from Friday, I believe, from the guys at Eagle Dynamics. They go on to say Aegis has announced that the DCS C-101 Aviojet has reached its final version state in the latest open beta update. After finishing multi-crew and implementing the combined controls mode, the module is now complete. Product support, especially when it comes to bug fixing, will continue. The Aegis team are now gearing up to accelerate work on their executing upcoming new module, DCS Mirage F1. We hope that these project updates will inspire you to give them a try, and we look forward to sharing more on their development soon. And then they point to the module where you can get it off the store, which I believe is still on sale at the moment. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, so you can check it out for yourself. Now, here's a post I saw on one of the Facebook groups. Goes on to by Karsten Girk. My Cyprus Sandbox was approved and is available for download, and there's a link in this where you can download it. I guess it's like a mission pack. It features a total of 20 missions for the Turkish Air Force, Leatherneck Air Force, and Cypriot National Guard. And it looks like these missions are for the F-16, the F-5, F-16, Mirage 2000. Looks like there's a Gazelle mission in there. And then 4 Hind missions. And then you go on to say, for longer range strikes, tanker aircraft are available. Of course, you can grab any of the slots and just fly where you want and attack any of the plenty targets as you wish. You can also use the slots as sort of a bonsai dynamic campaign for instant jump into the seed slot, first to annihilate the main SAM threat and then jump into a strike slot. The sandbox aims at providing quick fun. To adjust the difficulty level, the player can switch off enemy main air defense via his F10 other menu. Mission comes in 2 versions, with either all aircraft set to cold start or to hot start. It's your choice. I also included my simple makeshift Cypriot Mi-24 skin, but meanwhile there are better ones available. And then there's a little image for it down here, and it's called the Cyprus Sandbox. So that's pretty cool. This guy has pretty much made these new missions for the new Cyprus area of the map, it looks like. And there's three aircraft, 2 helicopters, and 20 missions total. And it sounded like there's some kind of difficulty level stuff. This might actually be something along the lines of what I was talking about last week, when I was talking about how I wish that, there was more campaign guys out there making campaigns. It was a little bit more simplistic. Sounds like this guy's has some of them, things I complained about in mind with this kind of stuff. So I will definitely throw a link to this in the video description as usual, so you can check it out for yourself. Yet another developer diary from these guys over at Red Star Simulations. They go on to say, welcome to our development update. Everything you see is subject to change. Just a short update this time. Work on the EFM has started. We have an EFM module and are currently adding all flight dynamic and engine parameters. The cockpit is also making progress, and we are hoping to share more of it soon. Here you can see these 76mm Saker unguided rockets attached to the launchers. You can have either 8 or 4 of these in total. They were used by Egypt and Nigeria. Also, we are keeping our promise of adding many different liveries from around the world. Here we have both skins for Indonesian and Chinese and Soviet Air Force aerobatic team liveries. And then there's a variety of images here. Looks like those are the rockets up close. More rockets on the launchers. Then we got those liveries they were talking about, which are essentially skins. Very cool stuff. I will throw a link to this in the video description as usual, so you can check it out for yourself. And what is a news update without something from Heatblur, right? I love talking about the F-14 and Heatblur. Anything Heatblur does, really, it's always a joy. And they go on to say, after last week's major F-14 patch, we now set our sights on the next major patch and feature release, including Jester Lantern and the mighty Forrestal. And then they have 3 images of the aircraft carrier. Absolutely outstanding. By the looks of things, I think this is a smaller aircraft carrier than what we're used to in DCS, but that should also make it a little more challenging, I would think. Very, very cool stuff. So that is it for this week's flight sim news. And actually, I'm not even going to say this week. I've had a little bit more motivation to put more together than just once a week lately. Flying the Hind has kind of had a lot to do with that, and taking some time out more to get some stick time in between work and you know, my girlfriend and the gym and all my fun hobbies that I have on the side here. But it's definitely been more fun, and I think I'm more into, you know, the flight sim news and the channel than I was over the past 6 months or so. And it was also nice to see that, you know, the topic we had last week when I had mentioned you know, reflected simulations and Baltic, and how I wish that, you know, some of the campaigns would be a lot more, I don't know, user-friendly, less complex for the average Joe to jump in there and have some fun in DCS. I am pleasantly surprised by the number of comments I received that backed me up on that, and how many people felt exactly the same way that I did about it. Also in the comments section, Greg came in from Reflected Simulations and defended his stance too, which is cool. And I love Greg to death. You know, I get what he's talking about. But I think he just has a different idea for what fun is compared to the rest of us sometimes. You know what I mean? He is more of that hardcore sim guy, you know? And you know what? That's great. It really is. I've never said anything derogatory against anybody that wants to do a startup and wants to, you know, feel what it's like to be able to do everything, you know, and doing everything to them is the fun aspect of it. But for me, it's not that way, and a lot of other people, it's still not that way. And I think that's the difference, and that's what I think that you might be missing, Greg, or even Baltic if you're listening to this as well. You know, there is a huge bunch of people out there that you're missing when it comes to these campaigns. And so many of the comments that were in the comments section on that last Flight Sim News video was going on to say that they buy a campaign and they can't even get through the first mission because it's just too complex. Or they get through the first mission and can't get through the second mission, you know? There's just too much to do sometimes, I think. And I get it. This is a simulation. I know that. And it's the most hardcore sim out there. I'm not asking for ace combat. Nobody is. I love the fact that this thing's going to handle the way it should. We should have to use the weapon systems the way that we should, you know what I mean? And fly the plane the way a plane should be flown. But I'm just saying, you know, give me a set of waypoints, give me some stuff to do, throw a couple surprises in along the way. Don't make me have to do case 3 recoveries and takeoffs. You know what I mean? Let me start from the air, man. Let me just jump in there, and after I've worked a 10, 12-hour day, have some fun for 20 minutes, you know? That's not asking too much, and I think you guys can really pull that off, but still put your, you know, your awesomeness that you guys do and the flavor that you guys have for your campaigns, which are freaking amazing. Like, man, it would be nice if you guys could actually do that instead of just what you do, you know? It's an opportunity to make money. It's not going to dull the waters, I don't think. And it's going to open the doors to, you know, some of these guys might fly these and go, okay, I want to see what it's like to do the things harder. And then it brings them into your other campaigns. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Like I said, I hope you guys don't think I'm knocking you guys, because I'm not. I'm just saying that in the 90s, a lot of us older guys felt that flight sims were a lot more fun than what they are right now. And it's so cool that you're able to add all the complexity and all of the flavor of what it was like You know what I mean? Minus the smell of the cockpit and burning oil and hydraulic fluid and the dirt and grime of the cockpit. That's the only thing you guys can't add to it. But other than that, I know you guys, cross all of your T's and dot all of your I's when it comes to getting everything right realistically. But at the same time, I think you guys could add your flavor to something that's easier to get into and maybe more Hollywooded up that could be equally as much fun for another group of people. Like I said, I just think you guys are missing out on that other group of people that would love to buy this stuff. But, 9 times out of 10, I think a lot of these guys will go in there like me, buy a couple campaigns, and then never fly them. Like the Spitfire. Somebody else commented about the Spitfire. It's just too difficult. If I could start from the air, I could fly that mission and I can have a freaking great time. But I'm never going to get the Spitfire in the air because you have to fly it realistically on the ground and fight with that goddamn thing left and right just to taxi it. And then hopefully you don't wreck it after you get it in the air a little bit because it's just too much. But starting from the air, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think you'd be able to get into it, or being able to hit escape at the end instead of driving back for an hour, I don't think we're asking for too much, guys. I really don't. But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. And again, please leave comments and suggestions. That last Flight Sim News, there was a lot of talk in there, and I think it was very productive. And I suggest that, Greg and Baltic and the guys who make campaigns for DCS, read those comments, man. These are from people that love DCS as much as you do, but I think we're just looking for something that's just a lot of fun and a lot less complexity and time consuming. And I think the time consuming really is the one for me more than anything, But as always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit that like button. And until next time, guys.